Divorce lawyers of Reddit. What's the most outrageous reason someone filed for divorce? To avoid prison. Guy came in saying he was going to be indicted for many things. The list would have been impressive if it wasn't also sickening. So, he wanted to marry his accomplice because he saw on TV that your spouse can't testify against you without your permission, and the accomplice had cut a deal. He just needed to get this pesky marriage to his current wife dissolved. A man filed for divorce because he couldn't stand listening to his wife make the AAH sound after every drink. Apparently it got to him over the years. Guy came in and wanted to divorce his wife because he found out that she was still married to some other guy. He then asked me if he needed to tell his other wife that he was married to this wife. This was a free legal clinic and everyone was homeless. Oh boy, I've been working at a family law firm for 3 years and I have seen/heard some crazy stuff. For example, 1. We handled the divorce for an older man, 70s. BC. He was cheating and wanted to be with his mistress. 2 years go by. He comes back to divorce the mistress. BC. He's been cheating on her with his first wife. 2. Wife found photos of her husband dressed up as a ballerina. 3. Husband files for divorce. BC. Wife does cocaine. He brings us photos of her with coke on her bare boobs. Then admits he took the photos. Then admits he's the one with the coke habit. 4. Wife filed for divorce. BC. She didn't want to relocate to a neighboring state for his promotion. 5. Couple with open marriage both end up jealous and call different law firms and file separate complaints for divorce within hours of each other. She couldn't stand the sight of him anymore. I was in the military at a recovery unit, just reporting in. I heard her saying this to a chaplain while he sat there in a wheelchair. Majority of his skin was covered in burns. 1,000-yard stare, no emotion. Because she bought a $3,500 dog as a surprise, and when she sent him the picture he responded with this kind of impulsive bullshit is why your family is poor. Apostrophe. Which one filed? She did. She was livid at that comment. My friend's wife divorced him because he wasn't black enough. He immigrated to the US from Eritrea and I guess somehow that's not black enough. Damn. I'm Eritrean, it feels personal. During their honeymoon, the wife asked for a Gucci handbag and the husband told her he couldn't afford it because he just spent $200,000 on the wedding plus honeymoon. She filed for divorce after their return. First of all, let me stop you right there. They're both pretty nuts to spend that on a wedding if Gucci is out of their price range. Overheard in court one day a woman wanted to divorce her husband because he likes taking pictures of trains and had been doing so for years before. I did maybe 5 divorces. I had one client who, after I met her soon-to-be ex-husband, stated, "Do you see how retarded he is? That's why I have to divorce him. If I had known how retarded he was, I never would have married him." The guy fired his lawyer once a month and constantly tried to file obviously fabricated or altered documents when he was between counsel. Eventually, very favorably for my client, we settled since he couldn't find someone to take his case and was looking at felony charges for all the fake documents. I loved that case because it was just such a circus and my client was very reasonable. A man wanted to divorce his wife, fault and no fault type of divorce, because she was diagnosed with cancer. I've heard of couples doing this in the US so that the spouse with cancer is entitled to state medical programs that married people are not eligible for. Hopefully it's something like that, because damn. She saw him in bike shorts and said she could never be sexually attracted to him again. I practically live on a bike path and let me tell you that some people shouldn't wear bike shorts or anything with spandex, ever. Not qualified, but butting in nevertheless with a story my physician brother told me. His patients tell him everything. One of his patients got divorced because after his girlfriend and he got married, the girlfriend began bugging him about quitting the meds he was taking for depression and anxiety because she should be enough or some such thing. He eventually did. Then later she wanted a divorce because he wasn't the same guy she married. Ugh, this reminds me of my ex. I have had really intense panic attacks since I was in middle school, so I have a prescript for anti-ANXY medication. Really helps me. Keeps the attacks at bay. Enter this guy, and he is super against big pharma, etc and into natural remedies. Keeps pestering me to stop poisoning myself. Also used the I should be enough tactic. I finally agree to try taking a break from my meds just to see if I still need them / can be better without them. I get a huge panic attack one day, hyperventilation, can't breathe, throat feels like it's closing, crying erratically. Instead of comforting me and trying to help, he screams at me for being crazy and that I just need to think myself out of it and tells me I'm irrational. Literally, no empathy, no understanding of the state I'm in. Long story short, we are not together anymore. Thankfully. 30 minutes after the wedding, bride found him having sex with one of the bridesmaids. That story shocked me. It was my stepdad's client. I remember seeing an episode of Divorce Court where the lady was upset because her husband cooked too much and he was too nice. Dude seemed genuinely sweet. Poor guy. Friend and her husband got bored in the bedroom. So the husband convinced his female coworker, who was a lesbian, to join in. Friend decided she liked her better and divorced him to be with the coworker. They got married and she eventually left her too for her new male coworker. So yeah, coworkers. Man, my workplace had a similar drama. A woman who worked in another department left her husband for her female coworker. It caused a lot of drama and was the talk of the workplace, but the two women finally got married. It was a massively overpriced wedding in the Bahamas, and within less than a year the woman who'd left her husband for her now wife left her now wife for another woman. After 7 years of marriage, a husband, unbeknownst to the wife, started trying to convince their nanny to have a threesome, telling her his wife would be really into it. He was a Wall Street guy, and she was a physician. And the nanny had been with them since their first kid was born 4 years earlier. The nanny finally made a move on the wife, who told her it was inappropriate. But a few months later, they got drunk, and they had that threesome. It turned into a regular thing. The husband was totally happy until the wife said she and the nanny were in love with each other, and she was leaving him for the nanny. During the custody proceedings, the husband tried to argue the nanny was an illegal immigrant, which was ridiculous. In the end, the wife got primary custody. 3 years later, the wife and nanny are still together, though they hired a new nanny. My friend's parents, because she was tired of the husband being too short, the same height as when they started dating. The 16-year-old stepson looked at her repeatedly with disrespectful eyes. It was a while ago, but I seem to recall being 16 and looking at quite a lot of people with disrespectful eyes. I think it's a thing. He didn't file, but he said he videoed his stepdaughter in the shower for the sole purpose of forcing his wife to leave him. Sounds like he got caught and that's how he attempted to exonerate himself to authorities, family, friends, and his boss. I'm not saying the story is impossible. Sure, someone could be that dumb. It's just, in general, you don't want provable or witnessed misdemeanor or felony actions you committed, regardless of if you were charged, be the preface for any legal proceeding. Divorce lawyer here. And to be honest, most divorces come down to two things. 1. Fighting too much / poor communication, usually about money, and 2. Cheating. Both are a symptom of falling out of love or realizing you didn't love them enough in the first place and something is the last straw. That's probably 97% of divorce cases right there. I don't think I've had too many unusual reasons for getting divorced, but family law is indeed full of drama and crazy situations. I once had to visit a client after she was involuntarily committed to a mental hospital. She thought she and her mechanic, who she had delusions was her boyfriend, were two halves of the reincarnated Jesus Christ. She was untreated bipolar second. Also had a wife whose husband literally wore tinfoil on his head and handcuffed her to a cabinet. She refused to press charges against him. Not a lawyer, but this was big gossip at the church I went to. One of the more prominent members of the church filed for divorce because his wife was battling stage 4 ovarian cancer. His claim was that she was unable to perform marital duties. She died shortly after the divorce. People were pissed when they found out, and he became a social pariah and left the church. My father divorced a woman who made his sandwich wrong. Well, she made it with an end piece, so he divorced her. He married 7 times. Never to my mother Mayo. So, I'm not a divorce lawyer, but this happened to a good friend of mine. Her brother, Kevin, married a woman that started using Snuggle fabric softener. Kevin ended up having a crazy allergic reaction to the Snuggle, but his wife refused to stop using it because she liked it so much. Even when he washed his own clothes without it, it being used on her clothes still caused a reaction so badly he had to be hospitalized. Still yet, she refused to stop using Snuggle. So, they got a divorce over Snuggle. Not a lawyer. But, my in-laws divorced because, straw that broke the camel's back. She hit him on the back of the hand with a wooden spoon for reaching into the food she was still cooking. My mom and stepdad, married when I was 4, been together 20 years. Wasn't a great marriage. So none of us kids were surprised when mom told us they were getting divorced. What she didn't tell us was that she was having an affair with a much older man, who is also still married, whose current wife has advanced stage Alzheimer's, and she hadn't told dad before she informed us kids. He squeezed the toothpaste directly into his mouth instead of on the toothbrush. This is why it doesn't hurt to live with someone before you marry them. I actually had a girlfriend in college ask me to FaceTime her while brushing my teeth because she wanted to hear what sound I made when I brushed my tongue and spat. I guess she really didn't like the sound of gagging or something because I passed the test. Some people have some weird deal breakers. I remember seeing a thing where a man won the lottery and his wife filed divorce so she could get the proceedings of the lottery as part of the divorce. The judge confirmed the divorce and either he kept all the money or she had to pay him. There is a similar one in California where the wife won the lottery, an annuity payout, and didn't tell the husband, but filed for divorce so she could keep the money. They were divorced, and 2 years later the husband got a letter as his address from one of those companies that offer to pay you a lump sum in exchange for you turning over the annuity payments. He thought it was odd and looked into it. They went back to court, and the judge was so pissed at what the wife did she awarded the entire amount of the lottery winnings to the husband.